let's welcome you to the opening day, the opening pitch of the 1871 season here live from Jefferson Street grounds in front of an attendance of 1,500, just north of 1,500. Clear sky, 54 degrees out Fahrenheit with a little bit of wind out to left at 9 mile an hour. Let's go and see how we do. Here's the first pitch. Opening day in Philadelphia. Bobby Matthews will be on the mound, and it's Bob Addy. He takes 4 ball 1. Matthew asks, are the Paralympics still going on? No, I'm still watching them. They ended months and months ago. I'm still watching them. So more information is exclamation point Paralympics. Advanced stadium. Yeah, that's the only thing, Adam, is that the stadiums aren't accurate because you have a scoreboard and everything, but everything else is accurate. You know, that's what I thought, but I was just like, yeah. So there you go. That shows you the event that's currently on the side screen, plus how many videos along the events I have. Yeah, that's just funny. Yeah. So 1 ball, no strikes. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's inside ball 2. 2-0 pitch called on the inside corner for a strike. It'll be 2-1 to Bob Addy. Addy, that was a fastball, 92 mile an hour. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Coming in, swung on, that's grounded. It's a base hit into right field. And Bob Addy has got himself a leadoff single. Very well done from Bob. He's on first base. So there's the first pitch to Hall, who will step in, and that's outside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That is going to be inside for a strike, and Addy, meanwhile, has stolen second base. So it's a leadoff hit, and now a steal for Bob, puts him in scoring position. Right. Still George Hall at the plate. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swung on, hit into left field. That's going to blow just foul down the left field line. It'll be 1-2. 1-2 pitch. Swung on, grounded over to first base, and it'll be easily handled. Stepping on the bag is Bierman, and that'll be 1 out with Bob Addy going to third. 1 out. Here's Ross Barnes now. That was an unassisted, that's a U6 unassisted play by the first baseman is a scoring decision. So here is the first pitch to Ross Barnes, taken down the middle of the plate for a strike. 0-1. Barnes hits that one deep in the left field. That's going to stay in the ballpark. Grabbing it is the left fielder, and is there going to be a tag-up play is the question. No. Addy is held at third base, and so Tom York will glove it. That's going to be a fly out to that's F7, and we've got 2 outs with a runner 90 feet away. John Bass, left-hander, the shortstop, coming up now in the 4 spot. Let's see how he does. First pitch is called for a strike. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swung on, that's grounded foul. 0-2, here's the pitch. Ground on towards the third base side. It's dropped. Addy will score. It's an E5 on the third baseman. But it is nonetheless a run for Rockford Forest Citys. I am Rockford, yes, for Rockford Forest Citys, and they lead it 1-0. Runner on first, that's going to bring up Doug Allison, who is in the 5 spot. Here's the first pitch to Allison, that's inside, ball 1. Right, 1-0 pitch. In the inside corner, that's a strike. Here's 1-1 pitch. That's grounded on towards the hole. It's going to get through for a base hit. Another single, this time Doug Allison. And he's made his way to first. And he has a single here with 2 outs. That'll bring up Joe Start, the first baseman. Left-handed batter. 2 on, 2 out here in the top of the first. Here's the first pitch to Joe Start. That's a pass ball. It's going to go towards the backstop, and that'll mean the runners are both going to advance. John Bass is on to third, or John Bass is on to third. Doug Allison moves to second. And now 2 runners in scoring position here with 2 out. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Check swing from Joe Start, but he did not go. Third baseman says no, and it'll be ball 2. Here is the 2-0 pitch. That's out inside for ball 3. 3-0. That's going to be right down the center of the plate for a strike. Taking all the way was Joe. It'll be 3-1. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Swung on. That's grounded over towards the second baseman and over to first for the out. 4-3 ground out. That'll end the inning. 1 run on 2 hits. 1 error from Philadelphia and 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the first. It's Rockford 1, Phillies nothing. Right. Bottom of the first, due up first for the Phillies will be Dick Hingham. And he'll be facing Frankie Fleet, I should say. And here's Fleet with the first pitch. Outside, ball 1. Here's the 1-0. Low for a ball. It'll be 2-0. 2-0 pitch. Swung on into right field. That's going to go foul. The 2-1 pitch. Low for a ball. It'll be 3-1. 3-1 pitch here to Hingham. That's fouled back to the screen. And a full count now. Here's the pitch. Grounded over towards the first base side. Getting over there is Joe Start. He'll throw it onto the pitcher, and that will be a 3-1 ground out to start the Phillies inning. 1 out here, bottom of the first. Here's the first pitch to Frank Burrows. That's swung on, hit into the outfield. That's going to be a base hit. Down in front of the left fielder, and over to first will be Frank Burrows, and he has got himself a single. Or Barrows, I should say. That's Barrows. Let me correct that. That's Barrows. So, Frank Burrows is on. Here's the first pitch to Tom York. That's going to be called strike on the inside corner. 0-1. Throw over to first. Nothing doing there. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's grounded foul behind home plate. 0-2. Here's the 0-2 pitch. That's grounded foul. Another one hit on deep in the left field. That might leave the ballpark. No, it's down for a base hit. Into left field it goes. This could be a triple. Will be a triple for Tom York. And that also brings in an RBI. It's an RBI triple. Barrows scores, and this game is tied. That'll bring up Ed Pinkham, and that first pitch is fouled behind home plate. Here's the 0-1 pitch outside for a ball. 1-1. That one swung on. That's going to go line. As it stays fair, it's just gone foul. 1-2 pitch. Inside check swing. Did he go? Umpire says no, and it's 2-2. The 2-2 pitch. That's grounded foul behind home
3-2 pitch in, or 2-2 pitch inside for a ball.
And it'll be a full count. This one's hit into the air. It's a base hit. Pinkham is going to get a single. He's going to get an RBI. Tom York will score. It'll be 2-0 Phillies here in the bottom of the first. Still one out and one on. Throw over the first. And Pinkham is back in time. Here's the first pitch. That is an attempted butt attempt, but it's inside for a ball. This is Dickie Pierce, the shortstop. The pitch is a ball inside, 2-0. Here's the pitch. It's a bunt down towards the pitcher's mound over to first, and that is out number 2. The sack works to get Pinkham over to second base, but it does bring 2 outs. So runner in scoring position, 2 outs now. That'll bring up Scott Hastings, and he takes ball 1 inside. Here's the pitch, grounded foul. It'll be 1-1. That one's swung on, that's hit into right field. Getting over there is the right fielder. He can't quite get there, and it's going to be a single for Hastings. Pinkham will go to third, and it's runners on the corners with 2 outs. Here's Charlie Bierman. He's taking called strike. There you go, fans getting into it. Let's change the volume there a little bit. I'm going to drop the crowd to 120. Why did it go down all of a sudden? And I'm going to drop you guys to 170. The music down to 150. There we go. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's swung on, hit into the outfield. Right there at the center. Oh, he's dropped it. He's dropped it. It's an error. E8 is the score. Hastings goes to third. Pinkham will score. And it's 3-1 Phils. Runners on second and third. Grounded over towards the second baseman. And that is going to be the final out of the inning. They almost bat around the order, the Phils. 3 runs on 4 hits and an error. They leave 2 left on base. And that is going to be the, I'm sorry, they left 1 on base. That's going to be the end of the first inning. It is 3-1 Phillies. Right. Into the top of the second we go. Just popping in while at work and before going into alert mode. Appreciate it, Sean. We got the second inning. First up will be George Bird for Rockford. Here's the first pitch. That's down low for a ball. 0-1. Second pitch here is up high and away. That'll be ball 2. 2-0 pitch. On the outside corner for a strike. 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's hit into the outfield. That's going to be a base hit. George Bird is aboard. And it's another leadoff hit for Rockford. They got themselves a single. Over to first. He's back in time. Here's the first pitch. That's a strike. And called strike on the outside corner. Here's the second pitch. Outside for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Low for a ball. 2-1. Here's the pitch. Called strike 2 and over to steal second base. Oh, it's an error. He steals second. There's an error. An E2 error. On third, I guess I'm gonna have to just. make note of it that it's an error. And over to third he goes. So 90 feet away now with nobody out. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Grounded over to the shortstop. Over to first, and that is the first out of the inning. Warren White goes down. Oddly enough, I also have him in my playthrough save. Right, that'll bring up Frankie Fleet, the pitcher. Here's the first pitch. That's low for a ball. 1-0. Second pitch, down the middle for a strike. Here's the third pitch. It'll be outside for a ball. 2-1. 2-1 pitch. Swung on. That's good contact. Into right field it goes. Down towards the line. Just hooking foul. The 2-2 pitch. That's fouled off behind home plate. Here's the pitch. Knocked around. That's a base hit. Frank Fleet gives himself some help with an RBI. George Bird will score. There's an error on the outfielder in handling the ball. That'll allow George Bird to go to second. But it is going to be a hit. I'm sorry, it's going to allow Frank Fleet to go to second. But it is going to be a hit for Frank Fleet. That'll bring back the top of the order. It'll be Bob Addy here at the home at the plate. He is 1 for 1 so far with a stolen base in his first at bat. He takes strike one. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swung on, foul. 0-2 pitch inside for ball one. Here's the 1-2. Swung on, popped up in the air. Just beyond second base, and that's going to be the second out of the inning. That'll bring up George Hall. He grounded out unassisted to the first baseman his first time up. And here's the first pitch. And that's inside for a ball. 1-0. 1-0 pitch is called, strike one. Here's the 1-1. Swung on, grounded over towards the second baseman. Over to first, and that's going to be the final out of the inning. 1 run on 1 hit. There is an error, and there is 1 man left. We go to the bottom of the second. Phillies lead Rockford 3-2. Due up first will be the pitcher, Bobby Matthews. I already fucked up. I already fucked up. Sorry. There we go. Sorry. 1 run for here. 2 hits here. Yep. 1 man left on base. 1 hit here. Okay. First up will be Bobby Matthews, the pitcher. He'll lead it off, and he takes the ball down low. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Grounded foul. 1-1. That's it. Right back at the pitcher. We'll glove it. Fleet will grasp it, and that'll be the first out of the inning. Right. Dick Higham coming up. He is 0 for 1. Grounded out to the first baseman in his first at bat. And here's the first pitch. It's a called strike on the inside corner. 0-1. The 0-1 pitch. Swung on, hit towards the hole, and it's just going to squirt through the left field. It's a base hit. Higham is aboard with a single. So Higham aboard. That'll bring up Frank Barrows. He singled his last at bat. Trying to steal was Higham, but it was a called strike on the inside. That'll be 0-1. over to first. And he's back in time. There's a bunt down. First baseman gets over there, and that'll be over to first for the out. 3-4 on the play. Does get the sacrifice, but does get Higgham to second, but now there's 2 outs. Runner in scoring position, 2 gone. Tom York is up. Here comes the first pitch to Tom York. That's inside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the second pitch, inside, ball 2. Third pitch is inside, ball 3. Third one called, strike on the outside, 3-1. 3-1 pitch. That's popped up into the air just towards the shortstop, and that'll be gloved by him for the out. That'll retire the side. 1 run. One hit, no runs, and 1 man left. We go to the top of the third. Phillies lead it 3-2. That'll bring up Scott Hastings. That'll bring up Ross Barnes. Hastings is catcher. That'll bring up Ross Barnes. He flied out to left field his first at bat. Here we go with the first pitch. Too high for a ball. The 1-0 swung on, grounded over towards shortstop. Over to first, and that's in time for the out. Brings up John Bass. He reached on an error in his previous at-bat. Error by the second baseman. Error by the first baseman, sorry. Here's the first pitch. That's outside for a ball. Second pitch on the outside corner for a strike. Here's the 1-1. That's inside, check swing, but he didn't go around, and it's 2-1. Here's the pitch. That's up high and inside for ball 3. Here's the 3-1, taking all the way and on the outside corner for a strike. 3-2. Full count. That's grounded foul behind home plate. Here's the 3-2. That's grounded down towards the hole, and it's a base hit. John Bass is aboard with a single. Right. Runner on first, 1 out. That'll bring Doug Allison to the plate. He singled his last at bat. Here's the pitch. Oh, that's a pass ball that's going to get by the catcher. Allison's on his way to, Bass is on his way to second. And so runner in scoring position now with just 1 out. Here's the 1-0. That is outside for ball 2. Here's the 2-0 pitch, high, ball 3. And the 3-0 pitch is a called strike on the outside corner. Here's the 3-1 pitch. That's down low for a ball, and Doug Allison is aboard. Two on, 1 out here in the top of the third. Brings up Joe Start. He grounded out his first at bat. And that's hit over towards the right fielder. Great catch. By the third baseman, I should say. Not the right fielder, the third baseman. And that is out number 2. Here's George Bird, who singled in his previous at bat. And that's a called strike on the outside corner. Here's the first strike. That's called strike 2. 0-2. 0-2 pitch flied out towards left field. And he's got it the whole way. And that'll retire the side. No runs on 1 hit, and they strand 2. We go to the bottom of the third. It is still 3-2 Phillies. Ed Pinkham will be the first to the plate. He had an RBI single his first at bat. And first pitch is called strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1, inside for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch, that's fouled down the third base side, 1-2. Here's the pitch, inside, ball 2. 2-2 now. That's going to be hit into left field. Going back, there's the left fielder. He dives. He can't make the play. He just couldn't get into position. That is a lead-off double for Ed Pinkham. And the Phillies have got the leadoff man in scoring position with nobody out. Dickie Pierce is up. He grounded out his first at bat. It's this first one foul. Here's the 0-1. Grounded towards the shortstop. Over the third. Did he get him? No, he's safe. Dickie Pierce will be on via a fielder's choice. At least I think that counts as a fielder's choice, does it not? Should be. 1, 2, 3. Let's go to the box score real quick. They've got so much win probability. Oh my God. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, nope. I messed that up. That's 4. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And yes, that counts as a fielder's choice. So Dickie Pierce is on via a fielder's choice. Right, runners on the corners, nobody out. Here's the first pitch. Scott Hastings. That's called a strike. Scott had a single his first at bat. That's going to be grounded over towards the second baseman. Oh, and he's the shortstop, and it's dropped. It's an error. E6 will get the man aboard. And Pinkham will score off the error. A chance to turn two there. They don't do it. And now runners first and second with nobody out still. Here's Charlie Bierman. He reached via an error his last at bat. That's the first pitch outside for a ball. 1-1, or the 1-0 called strike one. This one's popped out towards left field. Foul. The 1-2. This one's going right towards the third baseman for the first out of the inning. That brings up Nestle Phelps, who grounded out his first at bat. And that's going to be ball one on the outside. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Outside, ball two. 2-0. Pitch on the outside corner for a strike. 2-1. Here's the pitch. That's going to be hit into left field. It's going to be a base hit. Everyone's going to advance the base. Nobody's going to score off of it. But Phelps has loaded the bases here with just a single out. Brings up Bobby Matthews, the pitcher. He popped up to the catcher his first at bat. This one's going to be over towards the right base, or third base, I should say, and that's going to be caught by White over in third base. Runners don't move. Bases loaded. Here's Dick Higham. He's 1 for 2 so far today. Grounded out his first at bat to the second baseman, or to the first baseman, and hit a single in the second inning. Here's the first pitch. That's inside for a ball. 1-0. 1-0 pitch. And that's a passed ball. It gets by. Pierce will score. Hastings goes to third. Phelps will tag up to second. And the Phils add to their lead. Here's the 1-1. Inside for a ball. 2-1. Here's the 2-1. Called strike on the inside corner. 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Outside for ball 3. Here's the full count pitch. That's grounded foul. Full count. Fouled off down first base. Here's the pitch. That one's going to be hit into right field. It's a base hit. It's going to be one run that scores. Hastings will score. Higham's got an RBI single. And it's 6-2. Here is Frank Barrows. He 1 for 2 with a single and a ground out. This is it right towards the second baseman. It'll be gloved, and the inning is over. 3 runs on 3 hits, and they left 2 on base. We go to the top of the 4th. It is 6-2 Phillies. What's going on, Aries? What's up, Big Poppy? No Big Poppy here, brother. I'm getting smoked my first game, man. I'm down 6-2. First up will be Warren White. He grounded out his first at bat. Here's the first pitch. Down low for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Called strike on the inside. Are you casting it? No. I'm actually selecting the controls up here. We will cast some games that are AI, yes. If I don't play, for example, but another game plays, then yes, I will commentate that game. But as of right now, no, I'm actually playing this game. And I'm getting smoked. 6-2 right now by the Philadelphia Athletics. Brother. What I do want to say though is look at the date, Aries, that I started the career mode in. You should be able to see that at least. Yeah. Tuesday, the 18th of April, 1871. You think I don't know anything about basketball, brother. No, I don't follow basketball. I just hope the Oilers do it. All I know is, what did Matthew say? Let me bring up Matthew's tweet, because Matthew had a phenomenal tweet the other day. This is what Matthew said. Matthew said, nights, flights, don't let the bed bugs bite. Oilers in 5. Phenomenal tweet. Absolutely phenomenal tweet. So I need to I'm now on the complete wrong tab. There we go. Bruh, that's NHL. I know, but that's a very good tweet from Matthew. Right, where were we? Where was I? White's at the bat. He grounded out to the shortstop last at bat. 0 for 1 thus far. 1-1 is the count. Let's go for the pitch. And that's inside, ball 2. I learned about betting on MLB, and I'm not letting it become a problem. Yeah, I don't. I wish people would stop posting that shit on Twitter. Like the Oilers would post a highlight of like a goal, and so the first reply is some verified account that paid the schmuck for, Twitter, and in today's day and age at least, and they're like, "Thank you, this person, for scoring the goal," and they hit like a 4-leg parlay. Nobody gives a flying fuck about your prop bets. No, bets in general, especially prop bets. But yeah. Anyway, right. The 2-1 pitch. That's grounded over towards the shortstop, over to first, and that's in time for the force. That'll bring up Frank Fleet. He had an RBI single his last at bat. 13-leg MLB parlays make me foam in the mouth. Yeah, it's whatever, man. It's whatever. Here's the first pitch. And that's on the outside corner for a strike. Sorry, I had a Twitch stream I had to close. Right. Here's the I could make 20 odds of no. But Nerfies are a decent bet, Aries. I think I usually, if I ever do, I mean, I haven't placed a bet in like almost a year, but if I ever do, it's on baseball. It's usually a nerfy. So, but right. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Inside, ball 1. 1-1. That's grounded over towards first base side. And the first baseman will just take it to the bag. Unassisted 3. Nerfy. No, NFRI. Nerfy. No, sorry. NRFI. Nerfy. No run first innings. Yeah. Well, not NURFIE, but yeah. NRFI. No run first innings. You got it. Yeah. Especially if you have two teams that have like terrible offenses, or you have two teams that have like their ace pitchers out there. You know, like it's going to be nerfy day. Right. That'll bring up Bob Addy. He hit a single in the first and flew out and popped out to the second baseman in the second inning. He's one for 2 thus far. Here's the pitch. Inside for a ball. 1-0. The 1-0 pitch. That's up high, but in the zone for a strike. I refuse to place that bet on games at the Rockies. That's fair. You guys have it. If you're a Rockies fan, you're having a nightmare of a season right now. Right. 1-1. Here's the pitch. On the outside corner for a strike. 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's down low for a ball. 2-2. Here's the pitch. That's swung on, hit into the right field. That should land. It's just going to go foul. Here's the 2-2. Fouled off down the third base side. The pitch. And that's grounded over towards the shortstop. Over to first. In time for the out. That is going to retire the side. 3 up, 3 down. We go to the bottom of the 4th. The Phillies are leading 6-2. First up for the Phillies in the 4th will be Tom York. He had a triple, RBI triple, and he popped out to the shortstop. Good thing I'm a Cubs fan. I'm a Phillies fan. We're doing okay. We're still trailing the Mets, but we're not bad. We split the doubleheader with the Cards yesterday. We're off tonight. So, right. Here's the pitch to Tom York. That's outside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the pitch. That's grounded over towards the first base. Oh, it's an error. And Tom York is aboard on an error by the third baseman. Like, why Huntsville, Alabama? That'll bring up Ed Pinkham. He's had a single, an RBI single, and a double so far in this game. Yeah, but still. That's out on the outside corner for a strike. 0-1. This one's foul. Back behind home plate. 0-2 pitch. Taken inside for a ball. It's 1-1. Here's the 1-2. That's grounded towards the... Oh, and the second baseman can't get to it. And it's another hit for Ed Pinkham. He's got himself a single. I'm sorry, he got a double his last plate appearance. So he's got a triple, he's got a double, and he's got a single. Does Ed Pinkham. Modernize cities due to Southern standards, or by Southern standards. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. I know the university's cheap down there. I actually applied to it after talking to their admin. I talked to their... Here's the thing. When I was in 7th grade, right, I went to a college fair. I was in 7th grade. 7th. Okay? And I talked to the guys at University of Alabama, Huntsville. And I said, you know, I'd be interested in going down there. You know what I mean? And they said, great. I said, what are your requirements? And they said a 3.0 GPA, and you need I think it was a 960 on the SAT, right? Might have been like a 980. I finished with a 3.1 GPA, and I finished with a 1080 in my SAT, right? The whole 6 years from 7th grade, really 5 years, from the end of 7th grade to the end of high school, I was constantly emailing them saying, I'm really excited, I would love to go, you know, I definitely meet the requirements. I applied, and they didn't accept me. So, fuck them. But Huntsville has been built up in the modern era and continues to grow to the heavy tech and MIC presence. Sorry. It's also very modern in terms of city planning. That's good. So there's actually shit like public transport, things like that. Right. Dickie Pierce. He grounded out his first at bat and reached last inning on a fielder's choice. Here's the 0-0. It's a ball, and that is a double steal and an error. Another error for Rockford. That's going to score the run. That's going to score Tom York. And Pinkham will also get a stolen base off that. He advances the third. Lots of public parks of walking. That's good. Here's the 1-0. Swung back towards, and it's through the gap. And the Athletics, it's an RBI single for Dickie Pierce. And Pinkham scores. And it's 8-2 Phillies. No, I want to know, where can I see it? Here we go, show spray. So you almost think you shift left, weak shift left, yep. So. Right. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That is, or here's the first pitch. It goes down as a strike. 0-1. I hate how I have to constantly readjust these. He doesn't hit. He's got 14 power, like, and he hits mostly here. Like, I want to. No, I don't want third base in. I want a weak shift left, I guess. Here's the 0-1. That's popped up into left field. It's a base hit. Hastings is going to get a base hit. Pierce will go to second. That's a single for Pierce. Or I'm sorry, it's a single for Hastings. Who is aboard? First and second, still nobody out. Huntsville has a public bus service that runs Monday through Saturday and a ride share service that the city operates. That's nice. That's nice. This has to be a shift right. Weak shift right. Like, look at that. Here is Charlie Bierman. He reached on an error his first at bat and flied out towards the third baseman. Here's the first pitch. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Down low for a ball. 2-0. Here's the 2-0 pitch. That's popped up into the air in center field. And right there, the center fielder will have it. So one gone here in the fourth. That'll bring up Neely Phelps. He grounded out his first at bat and also had a single in the third. Here's the first pitch. Popped up deep into right field. That could get the gap. That's going to be extra bases. Over to second will go Phelps. It's a RBI double. Pierce scores. And that is 9-2 for the Phillies. I don't have a pitcher. I have one pitcher. Modern apartments, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, renovated in 2025, 1,500. What about a 1-bedroom? If I do end up going down there, I rent a bit apartment so I can have space for sleeping, streaming, gaming, and then a guest space. Nice. What about a 1-bedroom? Or not even a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. What about a 2-bedroom, 1-bath? Like, what about that? So, right, that'll bring up Bobby Matthews. He flying out towards the pitcher, and he also flew out towards the third baseman. So he's flown out twice. Here's the pitch. Outside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the pitch. Called strike on the outside corner. 1-1. Oh, that was called strike. I clicked too fast. So 1-2. Here's the pitch. Called strike 3 looking. It's a backwards K. And Bobby Matthews is down on strikes. Right. This is... that'll bring up Dick Hagum. He's 2 for 3 so far with a single, 2 singles, and an RBI. 2-bedroom, 1-bath is around 1K. Oh my God, that's so cheap. Average for a nicer apartment is 700 on the low end. 2-bedroom, 2-bath is like 750 to 1100 for a nice apartment. The nicest in the city is closer to the 2K mark, but that's like luxury living apartment. Yeah. Right. Here's Dick Hagum. 2 for 3 with 2 singles. That's grounded over towards the shortstop. Over to first. In time to end the inning. Right. 4 hits for the Phils in that inning. Yep. And they left 2 runners on, I believe. So that'll bring up... no, they left 1 runner on. No. Yeah, they left 2 runners on. And so that'll be the... We go to the top of the 5th. It is 9-2 Philadelphia. Right. I don't want that. All right, cool. George Hall will be the first man up. He's grounded out twice so far. Here's the first pitch. That's low for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. It's in for a strike. 1-1. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. That's strike 2. Here is the 1-2. That's hit into right field. This is going to drop. Yes, it is. It's a base hit for George Hall. He's aboard. Here's the first pitch. Called strike, 0-1, and Hall gets to second base. He will have a stolen base. Living in Alabama would be pretty yucky, but like I wouldn't be super mad about living in a city like Huntsville, which is culturally different than the South by a good margin. Well, I'd imagine if they build it up, that it's going to be a little bit different. My mate's born in Alabama. He lives in Atlanta now. He says it's not that bad, Alabama. But he says it's if you want more civilization, you go over to Georgia. That's what he says at least. Right. George Hall on second. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swung on, and that's grounded. That's foul. 0-2 pitch. That's hit in the air down the right field line, and it just hooks foul. Here's the 0-2. Down low for a ball. I want less civilization. Well, I live in less civilization. It's got its advantages. There's grounded over towards the shortstop. Over to first, and he's got it in time. That'll bring up John Bass. He reached on an error, and he singled today. Here's the first pitch. It's in there for a strike. 0-1. 0-1 pitch down low and inside for a ball. 1-1. 1-1 pitch fouled off down the third base side. 1-2. Hold on a second, because my Paralympics video just finished. So let me just get the next one up. Next, it's wheelchair basketball next. I want to live like 15 minutes drive from downtown of a big city, but effectively in the sticks. That's kind of hard to do, but I understand what you mean. Like I think the key is to find a smaller city, and you live outside of that. Like I live 20 minutes from Lancaster City, and that's not terribly too bad. It's not a whole hell of a lot to do in Lancaster, but there's enough. But 20 minutes outside of Philly would be like Abington. Oh, yeah, but it's that. Like, and Abington's not really a great place. Here's the 1-2. Popped up in the air. That's the wind's absolutely caught that, and it's blown it foul. So, Bass will get another run. Here's the 1-2. Grounded over towards first base. And that is unassisted 3. Hall will go to third on the play, but now there are 2 outs. Going to be East Earl. Nice. Here's the Doug Allison up. He takes a ball, and it's outside. Allison one for one thus far with a single and a walk. Here's the 1-2. That's grounded over towards first base, and that's also going to be an unassisted 3 to end the inning. 1 hit, no runs, and 1 man left. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Phil's lead at 9-2. Bottom 5th here. This is going to bring up Frank Barrows. He's got a single, he's ground out, and he's flown out. Here's the first pitch. Popped up in the air, down the right field side, and that's going to blow foul. Oh, hold on. I just tabbed that at OBS. There we go. That's a call. That's a ball. 1-1. Here's the pitch. That's grounded back up towards the mound. Over to first. In time for the out. Oh, no, he's aboard via an error. I didn't even see that. He's reached via an error on the shortstop. The 5th error. Like Lancaster too small, Allentown acceptable. Allentown's a horrible place. That'll bring up Tom York. He's 1 for 3 with an error and a pop, a triple, an error, and a pop. Here's the ball that's hit into right field. That might be in the gap. Going over, diving, not being able to get it is the center fielder. It's a double for York. Frank Burrows goes to third. And it's runners on second and third with nobody out. I love Allentown. I visit my buddy Mullenberg and get smashed. Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't like Allentown, but like crime-wise and everything else, it's a pretty the state's not in a good place or the city of Allentown's not necessarily in a good place right now. I will say that. All right, here's Pinkham. That's a pass ball. It's going to get by, and Frank Burrows will score. It's just a calamity of errors right now tonight. 2 runs have scored on one run. It's a wild pitch. 1 run is scored on a wild pitch. 1 is scored on a passed ball, and there's been 5 errors by Rockford. Pinkham, by the way, he's got a single. He's got 2 singles and a double with an RBI. One 1-0 pitch. That's chopped foul down the left field line. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Swing and a miss for strike 2. The city I live near is a shell, so my standards are pretty low. Wow. Okay. Here's the 1-2. That's chopped foul behind home plate. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's foul. 1-2. Fouled off again. Seventh pitch of the at-bat, and that's fouled down the third base side. Here's the pitch. That's flied out into left field. That is going to just hook foul. Ninth pitch of the at-bat is outside for a ball. It's 2-2. The only thing Worcester is going for it is recent development to the baseball team and the new park and surrounding area. Let's go baseball. Let's go inside ball 3. So full count now. Here's the full count pitch. Chopped on. That's going to go. That's a fair ball down the left field side. Pinkham is singled. York has scored. It's an RBI single for Pinkham. And it's 11-2 Philadelphia. I'm getting murdered here. There's a chopped over towards second. There's one. He's not even going to throw to first. 4-6. It'll be a fielder's choice for Dickie Pierce. They get the lead man. 1 out. Runner on first. Here's the first pitch inside for a ball. Here's the 1-0. Check swing, but he didn't go. It's 2 out. Here's the 2-0 pitch. That's popped up back towards the second baseman for the second out. That'll bring up Charlie Bierman. He is 0 for 3 thus far, reaching on an error and flying out twice. Here's the first pitch. Check swing, but down low for a ball. Oh, 1-0. One-0 foul behind home plate. 1-1. Pitch down low. That's 2-1. 2-1 called strike at the knees. It'll be 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Popped up. And over towards the shortstop. And that'll end the inning. 2 runs on 2 hits and 2 runs on 2 hits and 1 man left on base. We go to the top of the 6th. It is 11-2 for the Phillies. They pretty much, 318 moved up from Pawtucket, and they built one of the largest parks in the 3-8. Well, wow. They pretty much sell it out every game because it's dirt cheap to go. Nice. That's how I feel about the Barnstormers. I'd go to a Barnstormers game if it wasn't a complete opposite direction of work. But the Barnstormers are an independent league. I think they play about 30 to 45 games at home, and I think season tickets for the Barnstormers are like $100, maybe like for the 30 games. And I think game day tickets are like anywhere from $1 to $5, depending on where you want to sit. It's like stupidly cheap. Right. Top of the 6th. We are down by a bucket load of runs. We might be ass. We don't know. We'll see. First up will be Joe Start. He's grounded out, flied out in his 2 at-bats so far. First pitch. Inside for a strike. 1-1. Here's the 0-1. That's outside. Ball 1. 1-1. That's flied right out over towards the shortstop. And he's retired. Brings up George Bird. He had a single and he flew out in his 2 at-bats thus far. Here's the first pitch. Outside for a ball. 1-0. Yeah, I think box season tickets at Polar Park in Worcester are like $1,100. Now that's AAA. How many games do they play? Do they play 100? They play 162 as well, don't they? Here's the 1-0. That's down low for a ball. 2-0. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Called strike 1. Here's the 2-1. That's up high for a ball. 3-1. 3-1 pitch is down low for a strike. They play 150. That's pretty good, though. Your average, box seats, you're averaging what? That's like $7 about. Little more a ticket. You figure 600 is 4. That means 1,200 is $8. So 1050 is $7. So that's $7.33 per game. Well, no, because they play 150. Half of them are at home, right? So 75 games are at home. So that means you're paying $14.50 per home game for a box seat. That's pretty good. Well, $14.66, but still. Right, the full count. That's fouled off. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Grounded back up towards second base. We can't get to it. And it's a single for George Bird. It's like $13 per game. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty good. For a box seat, it's really good. Right. Bird is aboard. We gotta get something going. We gotta steal second. It's a called strike for the first pitch. Bird is comfortably in to second base. We're gonna try third. Here's the ball, and he's quickly back. They have berm seating for $10 on game. But what's berm seating? Is that like outfield seating, like you sit on the grass? Here's the pitch, 1-2, and that is. Here's the swing. Not the swing, the pitch. 1-2 pitch down low for a ball. 2-2. 2-2 pitch. That's popped up. And the first baseman will get it. And White is retired. That will bring up Frank Fleet. He had an RBI single and a ground out. Here's the first pitch. And that's a strike, 0-1. Here's the second pitch. 0-2. Here's the 0-2 pitch. That's grounded over towards third base and right at the third baseman. So no runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. We go to the bottom of the 6th. It is 11-2 Phillies. Oh, they have a kids' playground area plus a shade area. That's nice. The Barnstormers don't have a shaded area. They just have the outfield seating. But the outfield seating is literally like, I think the outfield seating is the seating that's $1. It might be $1. And then if you want an actual seat, it's like $2, $3. Right, that's going to bring up Nearly Phelps here in the 6th inning for the Phillies. He's got a double, he's got a single, double, and he grounded out. 2 for 3. Here's the first pitch. Called strike. Wednesday. Bark in the park. Bark in their park. Yeah. We love a good bark in the park. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. It'll be 0-2. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Of course, he hits it in the left field when I shift right. That'll be a single. And Phelps is aboard. Here is Bobby Matt. That's a pass ball. I know, it's a ball. He tried to steal. Right. Here's the 1-0. Inside, ball 2. Here's the 2-0 pitch. That's grounded over towards the second baseman. Over to second for 1. He doesn't even throw the first. So fielder's choice for Bobby Matthews on the 4-6 ground out. That'll be 1 out here in the 6th inning. It's going to bring up Dick Higham, who's 2 for 4 with a RBI and 2 singles so far. Here's the pitch. Check swing, but a ball. 1-1, that's hit deep into center field. Right at the center fielder. And that'll be the 2nd out of the inning. Brings up Frank Barrows. He is 1 for 3 with a single so far. A weak shift right you need to do. Here's the pitch inside for a ball. Actually, they changed it to Tuesdays. It's Tail Wagging Taco and Tequila Tuesdays. That's a mouthful. Jesus, that's a mouthful. But I love it. That's awesome. Here's the 1-0. Outside, ball 2. The 2-0 pitch. Down low for a ball, 3-0. Here's the 3-0 pitch. That's chopped foul down third base side. Here's the 3-1 pitch. That is popped up back towards the pitcher's mound. And coming over to get it's the third baseman. And that will end the inning. No runs on 1 hit. They leave 1 man aboard. We go to the top of the 7th, 11-2 Phillies. First up for Rockford City or Forest Citys, will be Bob Addy, who singled, flied out, ground out. Here's the first pitch. Outside for a ball, 1-0. And that one's down low for a ball, 2-0. Also, strangely, a seating area is sponsored by Yingling, which is kind of lit because Lehigh Valley comes up to play like 3 series in Worcester. That's pretty awesome, actually. That one's caught the outside corner for a strike, 2-1. That's high for a ball, 3-1. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Swung on, chopped over towards the, that's a base hit. Addy's got his second base hit of the day. He's aboard. That'll bring up George Hall. Here goes the, that's a strike and no throw as Addy steals second. George Hall at the plate. He is 1 for 3 thus far. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's taken for a strike. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's grounded back over towards second base. Over to first. And that'll be the first down of the inning. Does move Addy over to third. He's 90 feet away with 1 out here. Next up will be Ross Barnes. 0 for 3 with a fly out and 2 ground outs. Here's the pitch. That's outside for a ball, 1-0. Takes the second pitch on the inside corner for a strike. Here's the 1-1. Chop foul. 1-2 pitch. Chop foul again. Here's the 1-2. Taken low, 1 outside for ball 2. That one's smacked down foul on the first base side. Here's the pitch. Inside, ball 3. That one's chopped foul. 9th pitch of the at-bat. That's lined over the field. It's a base hit, an RBI single for Ross Barnes. And it is another run finally for Rockford, who'll get a third on the board. Here's just Barnes. That's a called strike. No throw to second. AAA ball is heavily underrated as an attraction for medium-sized cities, in my opinion. AAA ball is a good watch. Baseball is just a good watch. I mean, I've seen independent ball at Lancaster and all that. Like, that is pretty terrible quality. But it's baseball. Who doesn't love baseball? John Bass. I said Barnes. It's Bass. Sorry. He is 1 for 2 with a single and a ground out. And he reached on an error. Here's the pitch. He's out by a country mile. Fuck. I mean, I needed something. I'm down by 8 runs. It's the 7th inning. That's terrible. Right. Here's the 2-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's high for a ball. 2-1. Here's the 2-1. That's smacked into center field. That'll drop for a base hit. And John Bass is aboard. That brings up Doug Allison. He's 1 for 2 with a ground out and a single and a walk. There are enough players on a 60-day IL who are playing 3A ball at any given time to make it a show. That's a good point, actually. Takes a strike, Doug. 0-1. Here's the second pitch. Popped up. And the wind takes that. Oh, he sits an error. That's going to be a foul ball. Here's the 0-2. Chop foul. The 0-2 pitch. Outside for a ball. 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's down low for a ball. 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Grounded over towards the shortstop. Over to second for 1. And that will end the inning. It'll be no runs on 2 hits. They strand 1. I'm sorry, it'll be 1 run on 2 hits. They strand 1. We go to the 7th inning stretch time here in Philadelphia. It is 11-3 Phillies. Due up for the Phils here in the bottom of the 7th will be Frank Barrows. He is 1 for 5 today. Reached on an error, ground out, flied out twice, and had a single. Athletics, Hatfield to lead off. Oh, Hatfield's come in. And he's hit a single. What's his name? Hatfield what? John Hatfield. Let me write that down. John Hatfield. And he is playing, John's playing what? Well, he's pinch hitter. And then also, Joe Quest has come in for Tom York. All right, I got to get back to working for real. Good luck, man. Rally cap is on. Thanks. I think we're taking the L this one. Appreciate you, Aries. Right. John Hartfield's aboard. And nobody out. Here is the pitch. That's popped up. And the wind's going to take that foul. I hate how I have to select this every single time. Here's the 0-1. Check swing, but it's a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Chopped over to the third base side. No throw? It's a no throw. It's a single. Great. Two on, nobody out. Here's the first pitch to Dickie Pierce, and it's inside for a ball. Pierce, 1 for 4 with a single, an RBI single, a ground out, 2 fielder's choice. Here's the pitch. That's grounded over towards, that's in the hole for a single. And Pierce has loaded the bases with nobody out. That brings up Scott Hastings here. Scott 2 for 4 with an air, reaching by an air. He flied out, 2 singles. And that's a pass ball because they just got to score a run. Runners on second and third. That's going to be chop foul. 1-1. Called strike. 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's going to be lined over to third base side. Over to first. They get the out. The run will score. It's an RBI single, or it's an RBI sack for Scott Hastings. One out, runner on second. Here's Bierman. That's grounded over towards the second baseman. Over to first, and that is going to be the second out of the inning. Dickie Pierce goes to third base, but there's 2 outs now in the inning. That'll bring up Neely Phelps. Phelps is 3 for 4 with an RBI, RBI double and 2 singles. First pitch inside for a ball. Here's the 1-0. It's a pass ball, and he scores. Dickie Pierce scores. So now 2 balls, no strikes. That's going to be chop foul. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Grounded back up the middle in the hole. It's a base hit for Nearly Phelps. And that'll bring up Bobby Matthews, the pitcher. He is 0 for 4, 2 flyouts, a fielder's choice, and he struck out looking. First pitch in there for a called strike. 0-1 is a ball. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Inside for a ball, 2-1. Here's the 2-1. Swung on and missed, 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Back up the middle, it's in for a base hit. Bobby Matthews gets aboard in his 5th at bat. Charlie Sweezy is at the plate for Dick Hagum. He takes the ball, 1-0. Oh no, this is in the 7th still. I wrote the 8th. This is still the 7th inning. Charlie Sweezy. He takes called strike. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Popped up and foul. 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Inside for a ball, 2-2. Here's the 2-2. That's chop foul. 2-2 pitch. Swung on into the right field. Over the right fielder's head. It's going to be a double. It's going to be a triple for Sweezy. He's got himself a 2 RBI triple. And it's 16-3. I'll bring up Frank Barrows, who is 1 for 4. He's going to fly out to center field to finally end the inning. So 4 runs on 6 hits, and they leave 1 man on. We go to the top of the 8th. It is 16-3 Phillies. Joe Start will be up at the plate. He's 0 for 3 thus far. He takes called strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swung on, grounded over towards third baseman. That's an error on the first baseman, on the third baseman, sorry, E5. And he's aboard. Here's the first pitch. And that is going to be a free stolen base. 0-1 pitch. Inside for a ball. 1-1. George Byrne, 2 for 3 so far. With 2 singles and a fly out. There's a good hit into left field. Is that going to stay fair? No, it's going to fly right out towards the left fielder. And that'll be the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Warren White. He's 0 for 3, but a pop out, 2 ground outs. Pop this one up. And that'll be out number 2. Going over to third or going over to second will be Joe Start. He did on the George Bird flyout. That brings up Frank Fleet. Frank 1 for 2 so far with a ground out, a fly out, and an RBI single. Here's the first pitch inside for a ball. It's a pass ball, and over to third will go Joe Start. Here's the pitch. Ball 2. Here's the pitch. 3 balls, no strikes. Down the center for a strike. Here's a 3-1. That's inside, ball 3, or ball 4. And Frank Fleet is aboard. That'll bring up Bobby Addy. 2 for 4 today with 2 singles, 2 stolen bases. Fly out, ground out. Here's the first pitch. That's a called strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's down low for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's chopped on over to the second baseman, and that is the out. And the side retired. No runs, no hits, 1 error, and 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the 8th. It is 16-3, Philadelphia. That'll bring up John Hatfield. Substitute at first base. He's 1 for 1 with a single. Here's the first pitch. That's grounded over towards the shortstop, and an error. A 7th error. I'm sorry, a 6th error of the game. That'll bring up Joe Quest. He is the substitute left fielder. Here's the first pitch. That's hit deep into center field. And out. Caught by the center fielder. That brings up Dickie Pierce. He is 2 for 5 with a ground out, 2 fielder's choices, and a single with an RBI. Runner on first, 1 down. And that's inside, or that's outside for a ball, 1-0. That's chopped back foul behind home plate. Here is the 1-1. Popped up. That's going deep down the right field line, but foul. Here's the 1-2. That's chopped up. That's going to be a base hit. Dickie Pierce has got yet another base hit. Hartfield will go to second. And it's 2 on with 1 out here. That brings up Hastings. He's 2 for 3. And that's another error. And the bases are loaded. Here's Bierman, 0 for 5. He called first strike, 0-1. That's grounded over towards another error. Hartfield scores on the error. That's the 8th error of the game. How many E6s? That's the 4th error on just John Bass. Or Bass. That brings up Doug Allison. Is he a pinch hitter? I'm sorry, no, that brings up Neely Phelps, who is 4 for 5 with an RBI, a double, and 3 singles. Here's the first pitch. That's inside for a ball. Here's the second pitch. Swung on and grounded out towards the pitcher's mound. Over to home. Over to first. Safe at home, but they did get the lead runner. So that'll be bases loaded now with 2 outs. Bobby Matthews is up next. 1 for 4 with a fielder's choice, 2 flyouts. He struck out and has a single. Swung on and missed. Here's the 1 pitch. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's chopped foul down the third base line. 1-2. Here's the 1-2. Chopped foul again. The 1-2 pitch. Popped up. And that will end the inning. Right, 1 run on 1 hit. They leave them loaded, and 3 errors. They leave them loaded. And we go to the top of the 9th. It is 17-3. Due up for Rockford, George Hall. He is 1 for 4 today with 3 groundouts and a stolen base and a single. Here's the first pitch. That's on the outside corner for a strike. 0-1. Popped him up. And catcher will glove that. That's the first out. I'll bring up Ross Barnes. He is 1 for 3 with an RBI single, 2 groundouts, and a flyout. Here's the pitch. That's up high for a ball. 1-0 pitch is in there for a called strike. 1-2. 1-1 pitch. Check swing. But he didn't go, and it's 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Outside for a ball. 3-1. Here's the 3-1. On the outside corner for a strike. 3-2. Full count now. Grounded over towards the short, or towards second base. Over to first for the 4-3 putout. That brings up John Bass. 2 for 4. He reached on an error at a ground out and 2 singles. Here's the first pitch. In there for a called strike. 0-1. That one swung on it deep into left field. Going back on it, and it's just out. It's a home run from John Bass. A solo shot. You've got to think it's just constellation. But a big solo shot. 367 feet. And that's another run back for Rockford. That'll bring up Doug Allison now. 1 for 3. He had a base on balls, a single, and 2 groundouts. Here's the first pitch. That's down low in the dirt for a ball. 1-0 pitch in there for a called strike. 1-1. Here's the play. Shot down over towards the shortstop. Over to first in time, and that will end the ball game. The Phils, in dominant fashion, come out here and win this score by a final of 17-4. Here's your box score. Annie for Rockledge finished 2 for 5 with 2 runs and 2 singles. He did not strike out. He was left on base 3 times. Oh my God! But yeah, 2 for 5 with 2 runs and 2 stolen bases. Did he have an error? We had 8 errors in the game. Who were the errors on? I know I had 4 E6s, so that's Stewart at 4 errors. And then I had an I had an E3, an E4, and I had, I think, an E8 or something. E8, yeah. And did I also have an E7 somewhere? E8, E6, E3, E6, 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 E6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Oh, there were 5 errors on the fucking the shortstop made 5 fucking errors. Oh my god. George Hall, he finished 1 for 5. He did not have a run. He did have a stolen base though. Ross Barnes finished 1 for 5 himself. He had an RBI. John Bass finished 3 for 5. He had an RBI with a homer. Allison finished 1 for 4. Had a base on balls. Joe Stewart, I have finishing 0 for 4. Or Joe Start, 0 for 4. George Bird had a run. He finished 2 for 4. Warren White finished 0 for 4. And Frank Fleet finished 1 for 3. And he scored. I'm sorry, Bird had a run. I did catch that. Bird did have a run. And Frank Fleet had an RBI. Right, now comes the fucking fun part. Pitching wise. So total at bats 5, 10, 25, or 5, 10, 20. 24, 28, 32, 36, 39 at bats. We scored. Who had the other run? Who had the 4th run? Was it Bass? Yeah. So 4 runs. How many hits? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hits. How many second bases? The doubles. We didn't have anybody hit a double. Everybody hit a single. The only extra base hit was the home run. 1 hit. 1 walk. Eight errors. Jesus Christ. Who else had the RBI? Bart. Did I get Bart? I did get him. And I got Bass for the home. And I got Fleet. So who else had it? Oh, that was it. Because the error. So it's not a batted in run. Right. No strikeouts. Stolen bases, I had 3 stolen bases. Right. Frank's going to get the loss. Innings pitched 9. What was the pitch count on the pitching? 165 pitches. Did he walk a batter? I don't think he did. I don't think we walked anybody, did we? He didn't walk anybody. He struck out 1. He gave up fucking 22 hits. 17 runs. Only 11 of them were earned. Right. Now for the Phillies. Dick Higham. He finished 2 for 5 with an RBI. Frank Barrows finished 1 for 6. It has 1 for 5 there, but what did he do? I have 1 for 6. I don't know. I fucked something up. Okay. I definitely jacked something up. I'm gonna record it as I know. So 1 for 6 with a run. 2 runs, with 2 runs. He scored 2 runs. Tom York, 2 for 4 with an error. So he had an error. He had the 1 error. 2 for 4. Or no, I'm sorry. He didn't have the error. Who had the? I got to look on the other picks for the error. E5 had the error. That's Dickie Pierce. He's 1. He had both errors. They had 5 errors. A lot of them were throwing errors though. So it's just going down as 2 errors on the. I've only got 2 batting errors basically, and both on Dickie Pierce. 2 errors that led to base runners essentially. Right, Tom York, 2 for 4 with a double. He had a double and a triple. Fucking hell. 1 double, 1 triple. 3 runs, and he had an RBI as well. Ed Pinkham also had a stolen base. Holy moly. Ed Pinkham had, he was 4 for 4, Ed. 4 for 4 at the plate. 2 runs, 2 RBIs. He had 1 double. And he had a stolen base. He really tore us the freak up. Scott Hastings, 2 for 6. He had he had 2 runs. He had an RBI. And that was it. Charlie Bierman, 0 for 6. Neely Phelps, wow, 4 for 6. He had a run. He had an RBI. He had a double. Bobby Matthews, 1 for 5. He had a run. He had a strikeout. John Hatfield, 1 for 2. And he had a run. Joe Quest, 1 for 2. And he had a run. And then Charlie Sweezy, 1 for 2 with a triple and 2 RBIs. And there you go. Total plate appearances. 5, 11, 15, 19. Oh, I forgot Dickie Pierce. He was 3 for 6. Dickie Pierce. He had 2 runs and an RBI. Right. So 5, 6, 11. That's 15, 19, 25, 31, 37, 43, 48, 50. I have 54 at bat. 52 at bats. Unless I did something wrong. Nope, I'm going with it. Fuck it. 54. How many runs? $17. How many hits? 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 12, 14, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 is what I got. Yep. How many doubles did they have? 1, 2, 3. 3 doubles. How many triples? 2 triples. No home runs. They had no base on balls. They had 1 strikeout. They stole 1 base. No sacrifice flies. And that'll do it. Okay. Hooray. Yeah, I got my first achievement. We lost. Right. There we go. Next game. Troy Haymakers, Fort Wayne Kekiongas, Philadelphia Athletics, Boston Red Sox. Both games 105. We are in, what league are we in? We're in the AL now, aren't we? That is not what I wanted. It's got to be, I got to go over here to standings. No, I'm in the NL. I'm rock bottom. So there we go. We will come back to probably tomorrow, and we're probably going to do the Athletics versus the Red Stockings. Bobby Matthew versus Asa Bernard will be on the mound. It's kind of tough. Their pitcher's really good. You know what I mean? They have a 4.5-star pitcher. But that is going to do it for me. Let me see. Sorry for the extended thing. That is it. Thank you so much for joining me on YouTube. The series will get better. It'll be easier. It'll be quicker once I get used to this. But yeah, it is in the books. It's in the books. The first game of the 1871 season, Phillies beat Rockford Forest Citys by a score of 17-4. Thank you so much for watching. I am Ben Akage. Until tomorrow for Twitch, take care. Thank you so much to everybody that stopped by. Aries, Crack, Zapolio, Channel Not in Use. Huge thank you to all y'all for swinging by. Matthew, Adam Zero, big thank you. Sean Curtis as well. Appreciate you all. Let's see who's live. And who is live? Mia Makes Music is live. That is about the only. I also have Blue Metal Bunny, who's like a. You know what? Pikachu is live. So let me see if I can raid Mia. If I can't raid Mia, we will raid Pikachu.